Welcome, students of Richlands High School, to the Prom Promise 2024 Biology 2 Anatomy Classes mock car crash. What you are going to hear and see is exactly what the victims of a car crash would experience during and after the crash. This will occur in real time as it does in real situations. Fatal traffic crashes involving a drunk driver are the leading cause of death for teens in the United States. More teens die during prom season than any other time of the year. Today, we are going to witness what takes place in a serious injury and fatal traffic crash. This is a head-on collision. This type of accident can occur anywhere, in a city, on a county road, or on a busy highway. What you see before you is the result of a drunk driver. The most significant variable that affects the severity of a crash is speed. Consider the length of a football field, 300 feet. That is the distance needed to stop a vehicle traveling at 55 miles per hour to avoid an accident. Air crash occurred at 55 miles per hour, so the stopping distance should be that same 300 feet, but a drunk driver's reaction time is slowed, so the distance is increased. Air vehicles were approaching a curve, with one driver swerving through the median because he was drunk. A crash of 55 miles per hour will produce the kind of damage and injury you will see before you today. Cars are designed to crash at 35 miles per hour. When two cars collide in the first tenth of a second, the front bumper and chrome frosting of the grillwork collapses. In the second tenth of a second, the hood raises, crumples, and smashes into the windshield. The rear wheels lift off the ground. The front fender's back edge collapses over the front doors. In the third tenth of a second, the passengers start to fly forward at 55 miles per hour until they strike the inside of the vehicles. At 20 times the normal force of gravity, their bodies would weigh 3,200 pounds. If their legs were straight, they would snap at the knee joints. In the fourth tenth of a second, 24 inches of the front of the car have been demolished, but the rear end is still traveling about 55 miles per hour, along with all 5 passengers. The engine impacts into the other car. In the fifth tenth of a second, the brake pedal shears off into the floorboard. The car body bends in the middle, shearing bolts and welds. The rear of the car begins to fall. The rear wheels slam into the pavement. In the sixth tenth of a second, the body of the car was forced out of shape, ejecting unrestrained passengers. Rear seat passengers are going out door windows, jamming the doors shut, and trapping the other victims inside the car.
Help! Help! Someone please help us! My wife is in labor. I can't get to her. Oh my word! Someone please help us!
What happened? Hey, is everyone okay? I don't know. I can't see. There's so much blood. I've got to get out of the car and check on everyone. I have to get out. I can't tell how many people are in the other car. I see some people on the ground. I'm calling 911. Where's my phone? I still can't see, but I can feel my phone in my back pocket. Use it to call. Okay.
911, what's your emergency?
We've been involved in an accident. We were heading home from prom and we've hit another car head on.
Sir, can you tell me your location?
We're in the cuts near Cedar Bluff Overlook Park.
How many cars are involved?
Just 2, I think.
Are there any injuries?
Yes, my friend has a lot of blood on her face, but she's awake and talking. I could see someone on the ground. There were 3 of my friends in the back seat, but no one's talking to me. I don't know about the other car, though. I'm going to try and get out of the car and check on them right now. I've got to get out of this car.
Remain calm. Help is on the way.
Someone please help me. I've wrecked. A car hit me.
Are you all right? I'm okay, but we have to get out of here.
I'm bleeding. I can't feel my legs. I can't get out. I can't believe this is happening.
Calm down. Someone will be here soon to help us. Please, Lord, be with us.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe this is happening. Hey, are you okay?
I can't get out. Can you come check on my wife?
Ma'am, are you okay?
She was just talking to me.
Oh my God. She's pregnant. She's in labor. Ma'am, I've called 911. They're on the way.
Were you the driver?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I've called 911. They're on the way. Surely everything's gonna be okay.
Look around, kid. This is not okay!
The dispatcher sends a police unit, crash truck, and a rescue squad. Time is ticking away. The police officer will arrive within minutes. A 10-50 PI is the police and rescue code for a car crash with injuries. One of the injured has extensive bleeding and only has minutes to live. The first police unit arrives on the scene. The first concern of a policeman is to evaluate how many cars are involved, how many people. Could there be a fire? Could there be an explosion? Do we need extra units? The police officer will determine the condition of the victims. One of the car crash victims has just bled to death. A dead patient receives no immediate care. They will just be pushed to the side. All efforts will be directed towards saving lives. What started as a fun night out for students at their high school prom has turned into a living nightmare. A night of joyful pictures, dancing with friends, and memories that would last a lifetime suddenly become a night full of images of carnage and death, memories that will haunt those involved for a lifetime and saying final goodbyes to good friends and loved ones. The father is critically injured. His wife is stuck in the car and in labor. Although the father was wearing a seatbelt, the extensive impact has caused many internal and external injuries. Even possible fatal internal injuries have been made during this collision. His lungs and internal organs are bleeding. His head and body were rattled during the collision and fractured his skull. His breasts are numbered. The father continues to try and comfort his wife as she is in labor with their unborn child, but his voice is growing weaker, and help may not arrive in time to save his life. Richlands Fire and Rescue have arrived on the scene. The fire department now takes over the crash scene. They will determine the most severely injured patients and the safest way to remove the injured. Currently, there have been 4 deaths from the crash, and MedFlight has been requested. If they are in the way of saving lives, the firemen will move the dead crash victims' bodies to the side. The focus turns to disentangling the live crash victims from the twisted mess of metal that is the cars.
Young man, have you been drinking?
Yes, sir. I don't know what to say.
Now is the time to tell the truth. Have you been drinking? If so, you need to tell me.
Yes, sir, I have.
I'm going to administer to you the field sobriety test. I need for you to walk this line, heel to toe. Put your hands behind your back. You are under arrest for intoxication, manslaughter, and attempted vehicular manslaughter. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you. Do you understand these rights?
Yes, sir.
The police officer escorts the drunk driver to the police car. He turns to survey the scene. He realizes by the severity of all the injuries that lie before him that the best night of his life has turned into a nightmare that will never fade away. As reality sets in, he realizes that he is responsible for the death of several people. He is also responsible for causing a pregnant mother and grandparents the nightmare of losing the father of her unborn child in a wrecked and mangled car. He turns to see the grandmother coming from the other vehicle, which he had hit with her pregnant daughter and son-in-law inside. Lying scattered on the ground are the bodies of his best friends. They trusted him and climbed into the car for what they thought would be the finish to a wonderful night, only to be betrayed by his lack of good judgment. He chose to drink and drive rather than to protect his friends on their ride home. The tool the Richlands Fire Department personnel are using is called a Hearst Rescue Tool, also called the Jaws of Life. It can exert 7,000 pounds of pressure at the tips. This tool reduces the time it takes to cut a person from a crash. This tool is a lifesaver. The quicker someone is freed, the quicker they are en route to the hospital. EMS workers rush to the aid of other injured. They will stop the bleeding and support critical life functions. Time and vital effort will be spent on those who have a chance to survive. Now let's watch the medics as they perform their life-saving duties.
Valley Hospital, I have a young female who does not smell of alcohol. It appears she was riding in the rear seat and was not wearing a seatbelt. At impact, she was thrown into the roof of the car and out the side window. She has massive head and brain injuries. It appears she hit the doorpost, causing massive tears of both lungs and the liver. She has lost an extensive amount of blood. At this time, her vital signs are blood pressure 60/40, pulse 160, and the respiratory rate 4. She is comatose and not responsive. I'm assessing her as a code black. She will die in the next few minutes. No first aid will be administered. I repeat, no first aid will be administered.
Clinch Valley Hospital. I have a pregnant female in labor. Her water has been broken and contractions are less than 2 minutes apart. Vitals are stable. Medic Bob will start an IV and administer fluids and get her to the hospital ASAP to check for any internal injuries. I also have a male with multiple injuries. Possible broken femur, head injury. He's not alert. Respirations are 8 and BP is 75/48. We have started an IV, but it doesn't look good. Due to his injuries, we are requesting MedFlight to transport Bristol Regional Medical Center for the closest trauma unit to administer medical treatment.
Hi, this is Addison Dill, reporting live with WVVA News, Channel 6. We are reporting the scene of a devastating multiple-car crash in Richlands, Virginia. The crash appears from the condition of the wreckage to have been at a high rate of speed. A car has crossed the median and hit the oncoming vehicle. At this time, we have no details of the crash, aside from there being several teenage fatalities, an unresponsive father and pregnant mother. The cause of the crash seems to be a drunken driver. He was highly intoxicated. I have my assistant Kayla here with me today. Kayla, can you tell us more about this incident?
Yes. There were several teenage individuals involved in the crash. There were several fatalities, and many are critically injured. The driver of the vehicle that caused the accident was heavily intoxicated. Several kids from Richlands High School prom were involved. The intoxicated driver swerved onto the oncoming traffic lane and struck the other vehicle head-on. This is the community's worst nightmare. The one car had been to the prom, but the other car was a father and a pregnant wife in labor going to the hospital to deliver their unborn baby. It appears several of the teenagers had been drinking. It's really sad that one bad choice can cause so much pain and anguish. It's devastating that one of the officers will have to go to each of the families of the victims and tell them that their teenage son or daughter will not return home from the prom, or their husband or wife has passed in the accident. They were killed by a drunk driver.
What started out to be a joyous night to remember has turned out to be a terrible tragedy that this community will never forget. The part that really hits home is the fact that prom night in Richlands will no longer be a happy night. It will be a night where everyone remembers the crash. As details unfold, we will keep you updated. Once again, this is Addison Dill with WVVA Channel 6 News.
What you have seen this afternoon has been a reenactment of an accident involving teens and a person who was under the influence while driving. This type of situation is not uncommon and has happened right here in this county in recent years. Now we will focus our attention to the funeral scene of the father that died in the accident. The funeral is the reality behind the drunk driving tragedy we witnessed. This is the family's last opportunity to say goodbye to a new father. This goodbye is the result of a senseless decision of one man to get behind the wheel of a vehicle under the influence of alcohol. This tragedy ended this man's life as well as several others. No matter how sorry one feels, no matter how one wishes to turn back time, time cannot be turned back. This wrong cannot be made right, and this mistake cannot be undone. With that said, we will now begin the burial ceremony for a mother and newborn baby of their husband and father. May he represent all the innocent lives that were cut short due to someone else's wrong decision to drink and drive.
I would first like to take this time and thank you all for coming today. I might add that this ceremony will be difficult to sit through for many of you, including myself. Sometimes things happen that we cannot explain. Sometimes accidents lead to tragedies. This, my fellow friends, is a certain tragedy. Let us remember the ones most affected by this automobile accident: the mother, newborn baby, and grandparents. Let us keep them in our thoughts and prayers. At this time, I would like to ask the grandmother and grandfather to say a few words.
It seems like it was just yesterday when you came into this world. Now you are a husband and are expecting your first child. You were the most handsome son in the suit, and are just as handsome as you look at it today. I've heard about these things happening to other people, but in my mind, it could never happen to my family, to my daughter-in-law and grandchild. But here I am, saying goodbye to you for the last time. I just don't know if I have the strength to do this. I don't want to say goodbye. I want to watch you with your son, saying his first words, walking, teaching him to ride a bike, go to school and graduate, become a young man. I'm trying not to place blame, but I am so angry. This could have all been avoided. This did not have to happen. I shouldn't have to miss these things with my son. I shouldn't have to say goodbye.
It's okay. You don't have to say anything more. Congregation, let's join in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for your presence today to offer us comfort and strength in such a tragic time. Please send down a mighty wave of strength and peace to each one here today. Also pray for those that are overwhelmed with guilt that made fatal choices for others' lives as well as their own. Only you, Lord, can give us the courage we need to get through such a tragedy. It is in your name, Jesus, that we pray. Amen.
Our hope for Richlands High School is that each one of you will be impacted to be cautious when making decisions in the future. Have an enjoyable, but more importantly, a safe prom. Remember, drinking and driving is not a circus. Being safe serves a purpose.